I would say I'm only going to be here for a few minutes, but wanted to do an update since I have basically nothing going on. In all seriousness, I will do a quick bike update because that's one of the things I'm most excited about that I'm working on right now. Just ordered a carb rebuild kit, so that's going to have a float needle. It's going to have the main needle or the float needle, some O-rings and some inlet piece that has an O-ring. So I know when I took apart the carb last time, this little small brass piece that has an O-ring around it was really loose and wasn't really sure if that was going to mess up my deal, but I think it is. The carb is leaking a little bit when I have it just with the fuel on. Uh, float. Well, it's got I don't know about a float valve. Okay, it doesn't. Well, it's kind of a float. It's a float needle, not a float valve. But yeah, it's a carburetor. It's got, a float. It floats. At least I hope it floats. Sometimes floats don't float. Sometimes they have leaks in them and they're full of gasoline, which does not help your floats float. There's actually a test. There's two tests to do on the floats. One is, what's up, JD? One is how high the float is when the carb's upside down. You can measure it with calipers, which I just bought the other day. The other is you put a tube to the bottom of the carb and use it as a manometer, and the float level will transfer to the tube, and you hold the tube outside the carb and it shows you where the fuel is. So I have not done either of those methods. Those methods will be performed, at least one of them, this weekend. What's up, Will? Nice green screen, Will, by the way. Your technological prowess always impresses me. I get a kick out of it, production value possible. I don't even have a tripod right now. My tripod is my right hand, I'm super low tech. I'm surprised nobody's working on videos of, how to upload videos to YouTube when the internet's down, right? I mean, how are we going to share all this wonderful stuff? I need to buy an 8mm camera and make a video on how to how to record 8mm video, right? Or film. I don't know if any of you ever had an old 8mm camcorder or like a video recorder. I think they just called them cameras. They didn't call them video recorders. They just called them cameras. But cave art. How to make beef jerky in cave art by Inspired John, Step one, go kill a deer. It's like a spear, Three cavemen chasing after the deer with the spear. Speaking of spear hunting, people do actually, let me get some more light in here. People do actually hunt with spears. In the modern day, you can YouTube spear hunting hogs, spear hunting deer. It's kind of an intense thing. And some people even argue that a wound with a spear, if it's a good shot, is more humane than an arrow, for example, because even with a really gnarly arrow, the animal's going to take a while to bleed out. You don't really go for lungs. However, the animal dies. A spear, if it's a big gaping wound, maybe it'll bleed out faster than it, I don't know. But everybody's different, right? Paracord, so you could just use your knife on and, your uncle. Getting ready to go to work. I got work in 32 minutes, 4 o'clock. I work until 2 in the morning, 2:30. If I'm lucky and they don't ask me to stay for some extra fun times. I work Sunday a lot of hours. It wasn't so much that I mind working Sunday, although it's not the funnest thing in the world. I do get overtime, thankfully. But the work that I was doing was a little bit challenging. I can't really talk about it, but if you can imagine kind of making a puzzle out of tin foil, something like that was kind of what I was working on, and the gaps between the tinfoil had to be really small. So yeah, I was making puzzles with tinfoil, and they had to be very precise little. Oh, what's up, WCAM? We got Mr. Big Shot in the house. Love your videos, brother. It's nice to see that. No, I'm not working on anything atomic. I work for an aerospace company, but no, we don't do anything atomic. But Most of the stuff I do at work is actually fairly boring, believe it or not. I work with my hands, you know, using wire brushes and drills and tools and Scotch Brite and boring materials, not very exciting materials. I do exciting. I think it's exciting work as far as what we accomplish, but my and the machine is very modest. I just push parts around. I do pretty basic stuff. Um, but I work with a lot of smart people, and I'm definitely aiming. My career is a little more blue collar at the moment. I'm looking to get a little bit more white collar, but I think one of the challenges our company has is that a lot of the white collar people don't have as much blue collar stuff. When you've held a wrench, when you've manufacturing exactly. So when you've worked in manufacturing, and Will, you can probably appreciate this. If you've never operated a mill, if you've never operated a drill press, and you're trying to put instructions in on how to make something or how to put something together, it can be a little challenging if you only have the book smarts. So I do value my experience, my hands-on experience now, because even if and when I get a desk job, it's still going to be applicable to what I'm doing. But yeah, aside from that, prepping wise, I'm trying to kind of get rid of some stuff and clean out my area a little bit. Kind of giving up on the boat thing. I think I'm going to keep one surfboard, but I'm trying to get rid of the surfing stuff. Yeah, exactly. Well, hands-on stuff is a great teacher. So I'm trying to clean my space up a little bit, trying to get the bike going. Car probably needs a little bit of work. Changing spark plugs. Spark plugs on my car, a pain in the butt because the ones in the back are, well, it's a transverse V6, so the ones in the back are kind of, it's actually not too bad. It always, yeah, I know, JD, RAP. I might get a sailboat someday. I don't think I can afford to be picky enough on my first house to get good like access to the backyard. I'd love to be able to park a small sailboat in my backyard. Keeping them on the water is just a little bit too much money, and the salt water kind of jacks them up, but it'd be fun to have a little like 22-foot sailboat or something. The only thing is, small sailboats generally don't have keels, and I've done sailing with a boat with a centerboard. We used to have a 22-foot Buccaneer, and goddamn, man, I just always felt like that thing was going to tip. Every time the wind blew, we were just, yeah, I don't have money for that. Will, you crazy? Not yet, anyways. My uncle in Florida had a house on the water in Fort Walton Beach. He was in the military. And they had a house right on, it wasn't the ocean, it was sort of like an inlet. They have a lot of man-made inlets there. And a boat in a sling, still has the same boat, believe it or not. He had that boat for like 30 years, man. 20 something foot Shamrock, the little cabin. But thanks, Will. I appreciate that. But yeah, he had a boat and a sling and a dock, and it was just the coolest thing in the world to me. Like, wow, you got a boat and you're on the water out there. Maybe I want to see like once for a few minutes, but it's kind of hard when I was young. Water, nice. Nothing better than having a boat to having a friend that has a boat. Nothing better than having a boat to having a friend that has a boat. Yeah. Sorry about the buffer, and I guess can't really afford something super nice, but every year I rent is another 12 grand down the tubes. It's another 12 grand down the tubes. So I think long-term California home prices are going to go up. So even if I don't stick around, keep it, rent it out. Homeownership tends to benefit you the longer you own home. So trying to benefit you the longer you own home. So trying to, buy and sell houses isn't always the best plan. But anyway, I'm going to sign off, heading work, get my frozen yogurt, and you do what you can. Just getting a little bit better, so don't really have an excuse not to go have fun. Might try to change the tires on my. Keep working, keep prepping, keep saving money. Take care of your friends.